Good morning, everyone. It is 6 a.m. on January 8. We are about to start crossing the Panama Canal here, and this is an event that both Dave and I have been looking forward to experiencing for a very long time. So first of all, we're starting with some Panama buns, a delicacy that only exists here, and they're super yummy. And then we are heading for the front of the ship. You can already see here we are entering the first gate, the Gatun locks. We are on the Atlantic side, and there are 3 locks. They're called Gatun locks. They are elevating the ship 85 feet into the mountain range and enable us to go into Gatun Lake that we will be crossing before we go down. So this is the first lock here, and we are just making our way in. So while we cross this lock, or while we go through this lock, I'll just read you a little bit about the Panama Canal. How does it work? So the Panama Canal works as a marine shortcut to save distance, time, and cost in transportation of all types of goods. The route, with an extension of approximately 80 kilometers, connects the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean at the narrowest point of the Isthmus of Panama and the Americas. So the Panama Canal has served more than 1 million transits of vessels from around the world, and the historic mark was reached on September 4th, 2010, with the transit of the Fortune Plume, a bulk carrier. The Interoceanic Way operates through a system of lock complexes, each one with 2 lanes which serve as water lifts that raise vessels to the level of Gatun Lake, 27 meters above the sea level, or 85 feet, to allow them to cross the central mountain range, and then lower them to sea level on the other side of the isthmus. The water that is used to raise and lower the ships in each set of locks comes from Gatun Lake by gravity and is poured into the locks through a system of main culverts, which extends below the chambers of the locks from the side walls and the center walls. In the other lock, you can see a liquid natural gas tanker that also crosses the Panama Canal quite frequently. It's empty right now. When it comes back, it will be full. And now we are in Gatun Lake, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Each ship pays in advance of crossing the Panama Canal based on size, tonnage, type of cargo, and the value of the cargo, and it can get quite expensive. The biggest ship was a cargo carrier with 60,000 containers, and it had to pay $1.2 million to cross the Panama Canal. Wow. We're slowly coming to the end of the wider part of Gatun Lake and making our way into the Culebra Cut, which is the narrowest part of the canal.
So we just passed through the lake, and now we're entering the narrowest section of the Panama Canal. As you can see in the video here, this is where they had to blast to get through. So there's about, overall they had to blast 500 feet from the top of the highest mountain down to the level to be able to build the canal. In the distance you can see the bridge, and on the left you can see the cliff that they blasted down, and they made it in layers so that they don't have rock slides and stuff like that rolling down the mountain there. So we're just entering underneath the...
Okay, so what you see, we're coming up on the bridge, and the bridge is called the Centennial Bridge. Yeah, and here you can see some more of the layering part of how they structure the remnants of the mountain, just to keep it from further erosion and all that. There's always tugboats in the canal to keep you on course and help you out. And here we are. Aren't we a cute couple about to go underneath the Centennial Bridge? So here you have a bit of a better view of this beautiful construction piece. While we're crossing, we are now heading towards the first of 3 more locks, and this lock is called the Pedro Miguel lock, and it's at the beginning of the Miraflores Lake. So that's the first lock taking us down. Here you can see it as we are about to enter it.
So at this point, we are entering the first lock on the Pacific side. So remember, we were raised up on the Atlantic side about 85 feet, and now we have to go back down to sea level on the Pacific side. So in this lock, it's flooded, as you can see. We'll go in, and they'll lower the water down to lake level. We'll go across the lake, and once we get to the other side of the lake, we'll go into another lock, which is full of water. They'll lower us down in that lock to another lock, and they'll keep lowering us into the next lock until we get down to the Pacific Ocean.
It just started to rain like nobody's business. You can see here torrential downpour while we're in the Miraflores Lake, but that's okay. So we've decided we're gonna make our way to the back of the ship so we can see the last 2 locks from the back end. So Dave just gave me shit for calling the rear of the ship the back end. It's not the back end, it's the rear of the ship. But let's have a look at how the Sawyer Dam is coming into the lock itself. It gives you perspective of how a ship is moved into the lock. By the way, the Sawyer Dam is on a world cruise, 111 days around the world, while we are on a 74-day cruise around South America and Antarctica. So here's an interesting observation. Watch the handrails as they come up on the gates behind our ship. The gates are closed right now, and the handrails are going up so people can safely cross the gate to the other side. At the same time, now that the gates are closed, the water level will start to lower itself. So just keep watching. This is again 4 times faster than normal speed, so you can see it in a better time frame how the water is actually going down.
So you just watched the Cider Dam go into Lock, and Lock is flooded right now. And if you look just right, slightly to the right, you can see that's the lock we're coming out of right now, which is they just lowered the water so we can see, so we can drive out of this lock.
Hey, and didn't you just enjoy that peach cobbler music watching the Cider Dam going into Turlock? I thought that was rather funny. Okay, so we've just moved down to the 3rd floor, the promenade deck. We wanted to film the Volendam going through the last lock from the side, so we can see a different perspective, i.e. how close to the wall of the lock we actually are. There's not a lot of clearance on either side, and therefore it's super critical that these mules, you see that little locomotive, the mule in front of us, so it's super critical that they keep us right in the center of the lock and prevent us from banging into either side of the wall. This would cause a lot of damage otherwise. We're coming up to pretty much the last gate that will close behind us, and then we're out of the last lock. By the way, these locks are the original locks, and we are in, as we said before, I think these are the old locks that were built in 1913 and went into production into 1913. And here the mule is going down, and we're slowly coming out of the gate, and we're getting ready to be disconnected from the mules, from the cables, so that we can cruise into the Pacific Ocean.
just finished the last lock, and here we are. We're just cruising off the Panama City, where we will be docking, but not in Panama City. It's a little bit of a bus ride to Panama City, but just take a look at the skyline and see. It's a huge city. I didn't realize that Panama City was so large. Coming up, you will see some maps, and the little green arrow shows you where we are now. We just passed through the Panama Canal.
And overall, this journey took us from 6 a.m. until about 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.